Hey, it's Zane, welcome back. Got Chili with me here today. Chili, some of you have been asking to see Chili, so he's popped in for today's video, but he'll probably jump in the back in a moment. But thanks for tuning in once again. Great to have you here. And in this video, I want to talk about why I believe that the next stop for Bitcoin is $1 million. And I want to share with you 4 key points here today. What's going to drive the price of Bitcoin over the next little period here, and why, if you're not already on this life raft, why you need to really get on it as quickly as you possibly can. And if you are on it, you really need to encourage as many people that you care about and love to get on this life raft with you as quickly as we possibly can. And the reason we call it a life raft is because we know that the debt-based fiat system, fiat meaning by decree, where the central bank and the government decide to issue currency to dilute the purchasing power of everybody's savings, to drive real estate prices through the roof, to create this growing wealth gap, cost of living crisis. All of these things are created by the issuance of currency, which is really legalized counterfeiting. I mean, if you and I went and created currency out of nothing, we'd essentially end up in jail. But of course, the central banks can do it, and you and I can go and do an honest day's work and get paid in that currency, but we have no say over when it is that they choose to push the big red button and issue more of that currency, thereby diluting our purchasing power and selling out our financial futures. And this is just the reality of here it is. And I know I'm speaking very frankly here, up front here today, so I don't want to be offensive. I hope you don't find it offensive. But this is the situation we're in right now, and it's the smart people who are waking up and who can see all of the problems in society that are caused by broken money, who are now opting out and moving into this decentralized value system, the world's first truly global free market, which is what Bitcoin is. They're the ones who are going to reclaim the future. I really believe that. And so we owe it to ourselves, our family, our kids, everybody we care about and love, to really pay attention, to learn about Bitcoin as much as we can, to grow our conviction, and to really position ourselves in a meaningful way on this Bitcoin life raft. So, let's talk about 4 key reasons why Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't study charts that closely. I'm a big advocate of price history in terms of compound growth. This is why I keep referring to the reverse CAGR calculator. There's a link in my show notes if you want to play around with that and enter some facts and figures for yourself to help plot a plan for your own financial future. But the reality is that we look at Bitcoin's price history over the past decade, and it really does tell the story. Bitcoin has performed at 59% compound annual growth rate for the past decade. For reference, when we look at every other asset on Earth, real estate, stocks, bonds, currencies, collectibles, fine art, all of that pulled together has averaged 7 to 8%. Superannuation funds, same thing. And so you've got to ask yourself, in an environment where Bitcoin is performing, 8 to 9 times every other asset, why would you not be parking a significant portion of your financial energy into Bitcoin? That's a question that only you can answer, but people don't really get it because they haven't done any work on it. So you've got to do the work in order to develop the conviction, and then you start taking the right action. And so I do calls with people every single week. In fact, I've got 3 of them this afternoon after this video, and people are looking to secure their retirement because they can see that Bitcoin essentially promises 2 things. Number one is wealth acceleration, so people know that they're going to be able to secure their value in a finite monetary network, which is what Bitcoin is, that is going to continue to grow in value over time, and by the time they get to retirement age, they're going to have significantly more capital at their disposal to live their life in a comfortable way, rather than to leave it plugged into a system that is depleting the value of their life savings. And so that's number one. And number two is they want to be able to sleep at night knowing that their life savings and everything they've worked so hard to accumulate over 30 or 40 years is going to be secure and protected. And Bitcoin offers that promise as well when you do it in self-custody in the right way. And this is what I guide people through and point them in the right direction on how to do this. So if you need a call with me, I offer calls. I have a calendar. You can book a call with me you'll see the link down below. And then we can have a conversation, and I can answer all your questions and point you in the right direction. But let's get into this. The number one thing that's going to drive Bitcoin to $1 million is scarcity. Scarcity drives value. And we have to understand that there's only 21 million Bitcoin. There will never be any more Bitcoin. It doesn't matter who comes into Bitcoin, how wealthy they are, which governments come into Bitcoin, how much they acquire. It won't matter. That institution or government, nation state will never have any more influence over the Bitcoin network than you and I will have. And that's a really, really powerful situation, which is really the complete opposite of the current monetary system that exists. And everybody else is sitting at the whim of the central bank and the government when it comes to currency and their financial future and the rule changes and the policy changes around all of that. Whereas with Bitcoin, we know that it's absolutely fixed and scarce, and it's decentralized, meaning nobody controls it, so there can be no rule changes. So I'm not sure about you, but for me, that's a really powerful proposition when it comes to thinking about retirement and my financial life. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. A few kookaburras going crazy out there. So scarcity drives value. That's the number one reason Bitcoin's going to $1 million. It's absolutely scarce. It's going to continue to absorb financial energy from all the other asset classes, and this is not going to stop. This is not going to stop. Number two is FOMO, fear of missing out. And when I talk about fear of missing out, as the value of Bitcoin or the price of it continues to escalate, people are going to start realizing, holy shit, I've got to get my act together. I've been sitting on the sidelines too long. I should have done this a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever it might be. I've been meaning to do this. I need to do it now. And so this is what happens when markets start to move. People start to wake up. And so there is an element of FOMO that's going to come in, which is unfortunate because, I've been out here waving the flag and really trying to alert people about what's coming. Some listen, some don't. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But this is the situation we have right now. And I'm not the only one doing it. But the reality is that unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get Bitcoin at the price they deserve because they just did not take action when they know they should have. And so as time goes on, your ability to acquire Satoshis and Bitcoin in a meaningful way that can set you up for retirement and a financial future where you'll never have to work again, it's going to become more and more difficult. And this is why I say now's the time to be taking action as quickly as you can in a meaningful way. FOMO is real, and it's not just individual FOMO, it's institutional FOMO. We've got the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity and the US government all telegraphing what they're doing when it comes to acquiring Bitcoin. And this is going to create a game theory effect around the world where others are going to want to have a piece of this as well. And they're going to sort of pay attention and say, well, we want Bitcoin in our treasury, on our balance sheet. We can see it's the most scarce asset on earth. We need that value system plugged into our world as well. And this is, again, going to drive Bitcoin's price towards $1 million. So FOMO means that Bitcoin's growth is going to become exponential. Number three is decentralization. Decentralization. We have to understand that Bitcoin is digital gold, but 10 times better. It just offers so many more features than gold offers. We know that we're heading into the digital age. We know that there are countries around the world that are trying to, or already have, separated themselves from the global reserve currency, from the US dollar. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and there are others like the UAE, who are all moving to sever their ties with the US dollar as quickly as they can, so that they can start reclaiming and storing their economic value in real commodities such as gold. But as we're moving into the digital age, many of these countries will start acquiring Bitcoin, because they know that it's the only asset, even when compared to gold, that can't be debased in any way, shape or form. And we know that gold has a 2% historical inflation rate. We know that if the price of gold goes up, that they can mine more gold. There's really no real limit to how much gold that they can mine. Whereas Bitcoin, we know that they can't do that. It is absolutely fixed, finite and scarce. And so this again is going to drive the price of Bitcoin very, very quickly from the gradually stage to the suddenly stage, where Bitcoin reaches $1 million. And I believe that $1 million is going to be the new floor, the new bottom for Bitcoin. And we're going to see that Bitcoin will go from 1 million to 5 million to 10 million to 50 million to 100 million. And all of this is going to happen, periodically over the course of the next 10, 20 years. And, it may not reach $100 million in our lifetime, but there's a really good chance that our kids will be around to see that happen. And when it does reach $100 million, one Satoshi is going to be equal to $1. So we're going to have dollar Satoshi parity. And interestingly, CJ Konstantinos was on a podcast just last week saying with absolute conviction that Bitcoin is going to $100 million. And he was talking about Satoshi dollar parity and how it's coming. And he's a fascinating guy, CEO of an emerging Bitcoin lending platform that is coming, which is called the People's Reserve. And he was talking about Bitcoin-backed mortgages, which is the product that they're going to be offering. So look that up if you're interested in it, CJ Konstantinos. So, decentralization. And we have the ability to decentralize our financial life when it comes to Bitcoin, to be the custodians of our own wealth, to be the CEOs or the heads of security of our own financial life, to be our own bank. Complete portability, permissionless, no counterparty risk. And that's really, really important and powerful when we're thinking about what's coming down the pike around the world and the future, and how it allows us to be financially autonomous in this changing world. The fourth and final point I want to make today is all about mathematics. We know that Bitcoin is engineered to go up forever because fiat currencies are essentially engineered to be printed forever. And this is why people like Max Kaiser often say that Bitcoin has no top, because fiat currencies have no bottom. And this again is going to drive Bitcoin's price inevitably to $1 million, because when you're pricing Bitcoin in a infinite asset or an infinite currency called the Australian dollar or the US dollar, then the price of Bitcoin when priced in that currency essentially can only go one way. And so this is again going to accelerate Bitcoin's price towards $1 million. And so we have to understand that Bitcoin went from $0 in 2009 to $100,000 today. How on earth did that happen? Well, it happened because Bitcoin is a decentralized, secure network. In fact, the most secure computer network mankind has ever seen. You could add Facebook, Google, Amazon's computational power together, and Bitcoin's computational power and network security eclipses all of those put together. That's how powerful and decentralized it actually is. And so mathematically, when we think about Bitcoin, we have to realize that its scarcity essentially is going to continue to drive its growth up and to the right forever. It's just engineered to do that because of its fixed finite supply. And we know that Bitcoin's CAGR over the past 10 years has been 59% compound annual growth rate. And this is why I keep encouraging you to get into Google and type in reverse CAGR calculator, or find it in the link in my show notes, and start playing around with some figures. Start with how much Bitcoin you have today, or how much allocation or capital you have available to dedicate to Bitcoin today. Put in your time horizon and put in the CAGR that you think Bitcoin is going to do over the next 10 or 15 years, and you'll be able to plot a plan for yourself to retirement. And this is why I keep saying, for people who are able to get themselves to 0.1 of a Bitcoin as quickly as possible, which is around $10,000, 10% of a Bitcoin, in 15 years, if Bitcoin does just 50% CAGR, it's going to be worth about $4.3 million, which is around 7,000 Australian dollars in today's exchange rate. And so, you don't have to acquire one whole Bitcoin to do this. You just have to commit to it, allocate to it in a meaningful way, set yourself some targets and goals and go after it. And don't get shaken out of the market. It's so important just not to subscribe to any negative bullshit sentiment that's out there, and just keep your eye on the prize. Learn more, listen to more Bitcoin podcasts, read more Bitcoin books, learn about the problems of money, the history of money. And if you just stay on that path, then you'll stay the course. And of course, just make sure that you secure your Bitcoin into self-custody in the right way, so that you're the head of security of your own financial life. So I want to leave it today. Bitcoin, $1 million is inevitable, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. How quickly do you think it'll be before we'll get to $1 million? People like ARK Invest, Cathie Wood, they've actually revised their price prediction for Bitcoin by 2030. Originally it was sitting around $1 million, but I think they're up to around 2.4 million, I heard a couple of weeks ago. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but there's all sorts of price predictions out there. We don't know what the future holds. All we know is what the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin has been, and what every other asset has been. And we need to just utilize that, know where we are on the adoption curve, know that we're heading into the digital age, know that Bitcoin is here to stay, institutional money is coming, nation state money is coming, most of the world is coming, and Bitcoin is just going to eat the world. So I want to leave it there today. Please leave some comments in the chat, and otherwise like, share and subscribe. If you need to book a call with me, you'll see a link down below as well. Other than that, have a great day. This is Zane signing out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.